Hello and apologies for the tardiness. We were having a podcast behind the scenes before we even started the podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And indeed, I have some friends in tow, ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for Kay Asante to arrive shortly. Hargeet is not going to be with us this evening as he had to do a work trip. He'll be back next week. We also had Retri originally scheduled. Unfortunately, Retri had to change his appearance for next week because he also had something pop up for work. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it very soon. We have an amazing show. Obviously, the Xbox partner preview was live this afternoon. I happened to be on Mav's show, and look, he's now on my show. I don't think we've ever done this before. We did. We're running the Gambit, Mav. Thanks so much for having me today, and welcome to the show tonight, right now.
Yeah, man, it was fun earlier. We were watching the Xbox partner preview together and had some fun chilling, hanging out, watching that show. And you know what? Said had somebody not be able to do the shows. You're like, hey, you want to come on tonight? We're like, hey, why not? Let's do this, boom. And it's awesome to be hanging out with you today on both shows. So
Yeah.
got a lot to talk about, man.
We do. 14 games were shown. I have on my scorecard 8 of the 14 being stuff that I'm interested in. Some other stuff, not so much. But again, not every game is for every gamer. And speaking of gamers, Web Dave making his return appearance. Hey, brother, welcome, man. How the heck have you been?
Who the fuck is that guy?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Tired, new job, new new ways to go at life, but yeah, so good. Really good. About as repetitive as I can be right now. So I'm awake, I'm here. Let's get into it.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. And obviously, like I said moments ago, Kay Asante will be joining us momentarily.
Awesome.
When he gets in here. Of course, we will do his intro as expected. But guys, let's talk about the Xbox partner preview. This came out. It was announced earlier this week, and here we are. We got a chance to see 14 games, some of which we already knew was releasing, some of which were new games that we've never seen before. Let me just go over all of the 14 games here, and I'm going to do it in a verbatim order. The first game shown off, gentlemen, was Unknown 9 Awakening by Bandai Namco. Now, when you first saw this game, it looked very much like an Assassin's Creed game, but it is an action game that's a little bit has like strategy to it. Again, not fully something I would play, but it was interesting enough that I would definitely give it the old college effort. They had another game come out where they followed that was called Sleight of Hand. I believe that one was coming to Xbox Game Pass, which is again, it kind of had a Dishonored kind of a vibe to it, except the female protagonist uses cards. She's a witch. And she uses cards to do damage and to get her to do traversal. Now, I don't know if that's what the game is actually going to look like, but it definitely piqued my interest. There was one after that I thought was very weird. Not really for me, kind of reminded a lot of people of the Fallout mobile game where you kind of built your vault. It's called the Altars. And you kind of clone yourself and try to change things in the past. It was definitely odd. Creatures of Ava was a Pied Piper Pokemon game. Definitely not for Boom, but it's fine. The one that seemed the most odd out of everything was Roblox Griefville X Chucky. Very strange. Like I don't. I mean, again, not every game is for every gamer. I'm sure there's going to be somebody that's going to play Roblox Griefville X versus Chucky, and they're going to love it. And they're going to this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Definitely not for me. They had this something called the Sinking City 2. I don't even remember the Sinking City one, to be honest with you, but the game did look interesting. I want to know more. We did get an official release date, folks, for Final Fantasy 14. Obviously, that is in beta right now. We do have a release date, an official release date. I believe that is the end of the month. A lot of people are going to dig that. Not for me, but that doesn't mean that I'm not happy for people who are excited for Final Fantasy 14, which spent years as an exclusive to PlayStation. The Stalker original trilogy. I bought it. It's $40 for all 3 games. If you buy the game separately, they're $20 a piece. So obviously, don't do that. Buy the $40 edition. You get all 3 games. I was a little surprised that this wasn't in Xbox Game Pass, but what you have to do when it's on Xbox Game Pass, you got to buy games, and I certainly do that. There was another game that it's probably not going to be for a lot of people. I like racing games. Monster Jam Showdown. I'm probably buying that game. The game looks fun. It gave me some like serious Dirt 5 vibes. So I'm definitely going to wind up checking that out. Obviously, there's Grave Digger. I'm sure it's going to have some classic stuff in there like Bigfoot and a few other the classic monster trucks. This was an interesting piece. Persona 3 Reloaded expansion pass, and that's coming the way of perks via Game Pass Ultimate, which I think is what they should be doing more of. I think that is phenomenal. The first Berserker Kazan looked freaking phenomenal. Of course, they followed that by Tales of Kenzera, which looks again more greatness. I think that's going to be in the Game of the Year talk for a lot of people. Frostpunk 2, which Psychonauts, who was on Mav's show, was very excited for. Definitely not for me. And finally, Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess by Capcom. It looks phenomenal. Did not know that game was part strategy, part action. And even though that's not usually my jam, this looked like something I could get into. So Mav, I want to go to you first, buddy. What do you think? What were the standouts of this show? Because honestly, I've been busy right after the show. I had a lot to do, so I wasn't reading all the socials. I don't know the temperature of the room with the community. As we continue here, of course, I'm going to get into the chat. Chat, throw your number in there, and I will try and read and get to every one of them. Was it a 6? Was it an 8? Was it an 8.5? For me, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I put it to this way, and I think Pong Soul actually said this: when you can look at a show and more than half the games you're interested in, it should be a W of a show. And I absolutely agree with him. More than half of the games there piqued my interest. I will be buying the ones that are not in Game Pass. But Matt, what jumps off the page for you?
Yeah, there was quite a few games that kind of caught me by surprise. One of them that, I'm not usually into Souls type games at all, right? But that Berserker game from Nexon, the art style in that game, like, it just screams that I gotta play it. It just looks absolutely awesome. I mean, I'm getting like vibes of like like a realistic 80s cartoon vibes with some of the character designs and the way that they're modeled and stuff like that. And I saw the game, and just seeing it like in motion makes me want to pick up a controller and play.
Okay, that's
You
fair.
know, so when I see that, it's like I gotta grab that and feel it. And I really gotta play First Berserker Kazan. The biggest surprise though for me, I think, was the Stalker original trilogy, just like being, hey, here's the original 3 games. It's coming to console. Hey, but it's happening today. Like, that's cool. Didn't expect that at all. So that was a surprise, and we actually got lots of moving footage of it playing on Xbox Series X during that show as well. And I thought it looked really good. I thought it actually looked like it held up pretty well. So I'm going to be getting that as well. I think there was like some games that were either, if they hadn't already been announced, I hadn't noticed them or seen them before, and that was the altars, which was that I call it like a Fallout, um, what Fallout Shelter slash Death Stranding slash loopers. So, like Psycho brought up the loopers
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like kind of a mix of all three of those types of games. It kind of look like, and or all three of those kind of things. And I saw that, and the graphics looked really promising. It just looked really interesting. The whole concept of like the whole thing about what if you made a different decision in your life at a certain point? Like, who would you be? What would because we all have those things and those times. It's like, what if you did something different or made this different decision? And there's so many of those points in our lives. If we did something different, everything would be different from then on, you know? And having that brought to a concept and actually a game and different versions of yourself based on past decisions is actually really interesting to me. So just the concept of the game. The sleight of hand. I saw somebody in the chat. I think it was Masshole. Shout out to Masshole. Was saying Matt finally got his Gambit game, right? Because she's throwing the cards and stuff, and I freaking love Gambit. But like, what intrigued me more on that one was, even though we didn't really see any gameplay, it said simulation espionage, like it's like a spy game, pretty
Yeah.
much, you know. So that's really intriguing for me there. Overall, there's just a lot of variety. And the Kinetsugami Path of the Goddess, the strategy elements actually had me really excited for that game because it looks really unique. You know, for a game that looks like that, I can't really think of another game that has those kind of elements in it. You know, so to get that in this way, I'm really intrigued by that, dude. And the art style, and most of all on that one, the freaking music. Oh my god, like, the music in that game, it just absolutely is amazing. So, I can't wait to play all of those. So, overall, I would say the show for me was, like, around a 8 or so. There was not, like, any massive, huge surprises or anything like that were, like, gonna blow people away, but that's kinda what I expected. I expected this to be kind of what we got. It would've been cool if there was some, like, some huge, massive surprise or something, but overall, there's just a lot of good games shown, a lot of variety, and a lot of things I'm interested in playing. So, I would like some of them were we don't have years on, right? So we don't know like when they're coming out. It could be 2 years, 3 years away, like whatever. Not sure. I think Alters was one of those we didn't get a date on. So that's kind of one thing that I look at. We did get actually more coming to Game Pass day one in this as well than I thought we would as well. So overall, man, absolutely awesome show. I really liked it.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna come back around, obviously, and I want to get what you what the expectations like. For instance, like Steele and I, me and Steele were talking before the show, and we actually thought that something like an Elden Ring would have made a lot of sense to be there, but that doesn't mean Elden Ring at some point isn't going to release on Xbox Game Pass. As a matter of fact, I would dare say that considering that the DLC is supposed to be what, June, right? It's supposed to be when the DLC comes out.
Mhm.
Obviously, Xbox is going to have their June show. That could be one of the big announcements for at the show, or maybe even they just do it, via Xbox Wire. But we'll come back around to this because obviously I want to continue the conversation because I want to get your top 3 games. But we'll do that as we wait for other people to get in here. Web Dave, I know that you've been working super hard. Did you get a chance to check out the show?
I did. I watched it.
You
before
did.
This.
Okay, so let's get your hot takes on it. What jumped off the page for you?
I have to agree with Mav that the Berserker game really, the art style, the look of it, it's just I was ready to play it right now. So it looked good to go, and it looks like something I definitely would enjoy playing. Kind of fast paced, and on the elements of the kind of the it doesn't look like it's gonna be an easy game, which is good. And it looked like a lot of fun. I mean, we talked about scores. I would give it like an 8 out of 10. The overall show, I thought everything was pretty good. The Roblox thing was totally just out of place and very
A little
weird.
disjointed, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
but
Yeah,
you know,
I
mean,
agree. Mhm.
I like the Chucky movies, but what?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just throwing a bone to
Mm.
Roblox. Roblox is so massive on Xbox and like the
Mhm.
platforms, and I think they're probably just like, okay, can we show what can we show from Roblox or something like that?
Yeah.
And like, the Chucky thing is cool. I know like something that a lot of kids and stuff are probably gonna want to check out.
Yeah.
But it is weird to see it in a show like this. It
Mhm.
just doesn't like it just
It is
doesn't fit. Like nobody gets like, oh my god, it's Chucky. I'm gonna go play Roblox. Like it's if
Yeah.
people are playing Roblox, they're gonna keep playing Roblox, but I don't think people are gonna go out of their way to play it just because of Chucky. So
Yeah,
it was
I
weird.
think they're in Dead by Daylight too, those characters,
Yeah.
which are awesome, which makes more sense to me than Roblox, but whatever. So, but yeah, and in the Capcom game, that was it looked really, really good. And I love the colors and the vibrant and like knowing more about the actual style of gameplay that it's going to be, the mix is cool. I was hoping for more of an action type game, but I will still definitely going to check it out because it looks absolutely gorgeous. So, and I can never remember the how to pronounce that name. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hold on a sec. I have it in front of me. I'm gonna try again. Okay, so it's Kenasut. No,
Kunitsu got me.
Kanitsugami,
Kanitsugami.
Path of the Goddess. Yes, thank you.
There you go. So we'll just call it Path of the Goddess. That sounds like. But yeah, no, I thought that looked really good, and that's one we knew about, but yeah, I'm excited to play it, and then it's coming to Game Pass. Phenomenal, absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. So it was a good show all the way around. But the thing I like best about it is that Xbox, Microsoft, they're it's been what since their last little meeting. It's been like about a month since we've had the little mini roundtable podcast. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yes.
if they keep throwing stuff at us every month, a little something like this, to get us throughout the year, I think it's the right path to really keep the foot on the gas pedal for Xbox. No matter all these other garbage ass rumors about Starfield and stuff that are just not true and are just made up in somebody's head, wishful thinking and all that kind of stuff. It's you keep your eye on the prize that Microsoft is doing the right things and growing the company and the brand where we need it to be to get better things for all of us. And I just have a feeling by the end of this year, we're gonna be knowing a lot more things. And this thing that they did today, the partner preview, was a step in the right direction to continue that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, this is one of those instances that not I mean, I repeat it all the time. Not every game is for every gamer. For me, there were at least 6 games here that I don't have an interest. But the one thing about the way we do things here is that just because I don't like it doesn't make the game irrelevant to the conversation. They showed off 14 games. Every one of these games are going to appeal to someone. Now, is it going to be mass audiences? Well, I honestly I don't know. But the fact that we had 14 games show up in 30 minutes, where we got significant amount of gameplay information, and there was no fluff, there were no talking heads. It was literally it started and it ended, and in that 30 minutes, literally was just game, 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 game. That's what you want. I don't think you could be disappointed. Like I said, we'll get into expectations because we didn't hear any of that. Normally, you get, Aaron Greenberg out there on the socials, temper expectations. We didn't get that. And I think, I do think, like I said, the one blip, if there's going to be one, and we've already talked about it, was the Roblox one. I don't get that one. It's a little weird to me. I get Chucky's going to be a part of it, but that could have been a blog post. That could have been a tweet. That could have been, just an in-game message for anyone. Does anyone play Roblox? I don't, so I don't know. Do you get in-game messages? Hey, Chucky's coming next week. Congratulations. You can kill each other, or he can try and kill you. This is great. I just not so much for me, but let me, of course, bring the community into the conversation and read off some of the numbers here. Sir Riffs a Lot says he gave it a 7. We also have Rick L gave it an 8 out of 10. Scott Gamer Dude, I don't see your score, brother, but we'll come back to you. Leonard Herrera. Oh, there it is, Scott. Leonard Herrera gave it an 8, and so did Scott Gamer Dude. We have Smalls, Smolix. Gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Elijah Vasquez gave it an 8.5. Green Goblin 8. The Blue One 8. Solid White 731 8. Web Dave, of course, if you 8 for 10. Masshole 7.5 out of 10. Live Supremacy 9 out of 10. That's a very high score. Alvin 8.5 out of 10 for me as well. Mario Gomez with a 9 out of 10. Pixelated Echoes 8 out of 10. Mishi Miyagi 6. Okay, I mean, listen, if you felt it was 6, I'm not going to fight you on it. Crispy Rambo 8 out. His only it says 8. Only 2 games I won't try. I mean, that's fair. Again, it's not every game is for every gamer, brother. I completely get it. Matthew Gale 8 out of 10. Keo Walker 8 out of 10. And this is a nice comment here. Eat Fresh Guy says 14 games, lots of diversity, excellent pacing, and almost all gameplay. And that's a very strong point. Let's see. We also have here Gamers Play Hub 0. What's up, Boom and Gamer Nation? Hashtag Game On, brother. Thank you so much for that. We also have, let's see if any more scores here. Outlaw gave it a 5 out of 10. Okay. I mean, I hear you, brother. Let's see if we have any more. Well, Parker Burris 2 gave it a 3 out of 10. Okay. Wow. That's brutal, brother. Okay. But you know what? If that's what you feel, you got to go with the 3. No beef here. Let's see what else we have going on here. Monster, it's 5:30, but it's a Boom. As always, hello to you as well, Monster. Appreciate you being here. So let me get to the super chats, gentlemen, and I kind of want to talk about your top 3. My top 3 are super easy. They are the 3 that they showed, that we knew were going to be there. Adidas 20 has been a channel member for 14 months, brother. Thank you for the generosity. He says, "What's up, Boom, Web, Dave, and Mav?" Well, what's up to you, brother? Thank you for supporting the channel. Of course, he follows that with a $5 super chat and says, "This is not Xbox One era. My people, Xbox haters, take notice indeed." I don't know if there's a... Can you really hate on Xbox? I mean, they've done so much right. I mean, granted, they make some mistakes. Obviously, they've done some things that, some rake stepping, as we like to call it. And I guess depending on who you ask about how they handled the rumors, that obviously was a debacle. Turns out it was 4 games. Turns out Indiana Jones and Starfield weren't those 4 games. Are they ever going to be those 4 games? I honestly don't know, but that's not happening this year, as far as as far as I know. I haven't heard anything. And even if I did, I'd be the last person to say anything, because these rumors are just tearing the community apart. It's just gross. Gamers Play HUD 0 drops not 1 but 2 super chats. The first one of $5. He says, "Boom. Gotta say, it was a good show. 9 out of 10. Many games I did know about that are different experiences that is not like anything I have seen." And that's a very strong and fair point. He goes on to say, with his second super chat of $2, "Second, I'm getting PS1 weird different experiences." It's interesting. The one thing I think that set Sony apart back in the days is they made weird games. They did. They made a lot of them, and some stuck and some didn't. But they were known for that. And I agree with you. I think there is some of that weirdness. But you know what? Xbox has never really shied away from it. They've always been a weird. You've always seen weird games that people are like, "Wow, I don't understand that." I mean, for crying out loud, Sneak King was an Xbox 360 exclusive. I mean, go figure, right? Crash Course, the Doritos game, which PS, by the way,
It's fantastic.
you're gonna see it is absolutely fantastic. My nephew Tyler plays it every time he's here. I've had people like, "Hey, Boom, I saw you. So you're playing that Doritos Crash Course." Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, I do play it with him, but it's he wants to play the game. Oh, we play the game. It's weird. What can I say? But let's go back to you, Mav, I should say. What were your top three? Because obviously, for me, it's super easy, but I'll get to mine in a second. What are your top three picks from this show?
Oh, for me, the top two is easy. I would say Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, and Berserker.
Yeah,
Those are the top two for me. Then after that is when I'm like, I don't know what the third one is. It's definitely not the Chucky thing. So it wasn't the Pied Piper Pokemon game, that's for sure. And then overall, like I feel like there's games I'm interested in, but I'm a little like unsure about, like Alters, like
yeah.
uh the Gambit game. I forget what the name of what is the one with the cards or whatever. Um, that one I'm like kind of unsure about because I haven't seen any kind of gameplay. I don't really know what you're actually doing in the game yet. So honestly, I think the third thing that had me the most excited, they're having trouble deciding between two, and it's either the Stalker original trilogy coming to console, um, or it's the Frostpunk 2 for PC Game Pass. Because I like strategy games and I like those kind of games, and knowing that this game was just revealed, it's coming into PC Game Pass. I know it's not for console day one, right? So that's kind of like a little disappointing, but just knowing it's coming to Game Pass day one on PC means I get to play it and I don't have to buy it. And I may have been interested in buying it anyway.
Right.
So that's pretty exciting for me. So I'm kind of having trouble deciding between that one and the Stalker original trilogy. If Frostpunk 2 was announced for console day one, like day and date, then that would definitely probably be the number three for me. But yeah, between those two, I would think. And but I still think my number one standout is probably Berserker. The
Yeah,
first
but
Berserker Kazan, and then the second one would be the Path of the Goddess.
I mean, strong picks. So before we get to Dave, mine is obviously the first Berserker. That's number one. That game, and like I said, I have to go back and really want to watch it again because it just looks like your character model is anime based, and everything else around you it just looks so unique. Is it going to be Souls level hard? Well, shit, I hope not. But I'm gonna give it the old college effort. And obviously, that game is that game looks like it's definitely gonna be a banger for sure. Um, for me, obviously, Path of the Goddess number two, and again, this is just my personal take because I like small games. I like games that have a personal story behind them. And when I look at what is everything that we've known about going back all the way to the Game Awards, where the director, well, the one guy that made the game, Tales of Kanzera, he told that story about his pops. That
Yeah.
hits home because you know how I feel about my dad. That dude's my hero. That guy's on a pedestal I can never reach. And the game just every time we see it just looks better and better. And obviously that's an EA's original. I'm very happy that they still do that. We've seen a couple of games get that came out under that banner do really well. It Takes Two is one of them. The prison one before that. There were a few of them. That would be my number three. Those are my three. The other one, I mean, again, sleight of hand looked really good. Unknown Nine
Yeah.
looks very interesting. The Altars, I'm intrigued in just a weird way that you're
Yeah.
cloning yourself and you're fighting with yourself, and everyone you can do different hairstyles and everything. I don't know if I'm gonna have the patience for that, to be honest with you, but it did give me the oh my god, the one by Kojima.
Death
Death
Stranding.
Stranding. Yeah, it gave me
Yeah.
Death Stranding feels when you're kind of out jumping around and everything. Um if okay, so if I have to add like a just an extra one here, because like I said, I like weird driving games. My obviously everyone's always making fun of my driving. Just look at the screen right now, I'm blowing up all over the place. Monster Jam looked dope. I'm not going to front. Would I normally have even looked at this game? Probably not. I would have maybe picked it up on a Black Friday sale, but it gave me Dirt 5 vibes, and Dirt 5 is like probably one of my favorite racers. Like, I'm not saying that it's better than like Forza Horizon 5, but it's just so one of my favorite racers. That's all I can say about that. But Dave, let's go to
Yeah.
you, buddy. What are your top 3 picks from this Xbox partner preview event?
Okay, my top 3 would be in order. Number 1, I'll have to start with the number 1. Was the first Berserker. 'Cause
Okay, fair.
I really like that a lot. The Path of the Goddess, however you pronounce it. Yeah, but however you pronounce it. I don't know.
Kunitsugami. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Kunitsugami.
Kunitsugami. Yeah, there you go.
Why don't you just Q Mav? No. But yeah, so Path of the Goddess would be the second one. And then I don't know, it's to me it was a kind of a toss up between Unknown 9 Awakenings and then I'm kind of interested I guess in the Sinking City. I want to know more about that. Sinking City 2. But I say probably my third will be the Unknown Awakenings. But one thing Mav did say that he didn't like the Pokemon tag along game. Was it Creatures of Ava?
Yeah.
But when I saw that, the art style kind of reminded me of the Rare game that keeps getting delayed.
Everwild. Yeah.
Yeah, it just when I first saw it, I kind of like ooh, but who knows? But yeah, that's my 3. But there was a lot of good ones, man. There's a lot of good stuff there. Everything except for the Roblox Chucky was pretty good. And Persona 3, we knew it was coming, but man, that's exciting too.
Yeah, that was interesting because that Persona 3 thing was the expansion pass is coming to Game Pass Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like, I was like, okay, that's like we don't usually see announcements like that. So that was a little different, especially for a third party game. The expansion pass coming into Ultimate, not just regular Game Pass.
And that's great that they're doing stuff like that. They
Yeah.
that they see the need and they're like, let's go after this. And then it's people that are big fans of it. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it gives more value to the Ultimate tier.
It does.
Definitely.
I think they need to take more. They need to do that more often. Now, again, not every game that's going to come out is going to have an expansion for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they have to pay for that. These companies aren't giving them that for free. So they are dropping a bag. But I think that the perk system, some of the stuff that they have, a lot of the stuff they have is just. It's just not for me. There's a lot of free to play stuff that I just like. I go and I look, and occasionally you'll find, like, for instance, like for Halo Infinite, they'll be like, "Oh, Mountain Dew green the guns." I just downloaded for for shits and giggles. I could care less about Mountain Dew green guns.
But Boom, what you're talking about on the bonus stuff that you get in the perks, as it were, in the showcase, they talked about the Final Fantasy 14 that if you do the I guess purchase it once it comes out in Game Pass, you're going to get the bonus content. There's a bunch of extra
nice
avatars, stuff like that. That's you only can get if you have a subscription, to Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah. So it's part of the perk program, and it's actually, from what I understand, because my son was telling me about it, that it's a pretty good deal because he keeps trying to get me to buy the game, and I'm just going to play the free preview. Sorry, son. But yeah, so but still, if there's people out there that want to take the plunge, that's another nice little token to throw in there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, some people say if it's free, I'll take 3. I'm not that guy, to be honest with you. I don't mind paying for things, which is why I bought the Stalker trilogy. I never played it. I know some people like Asante, who's running behind, unfortunately. He'll be here momentarily. He was like, yeah, I already have it on PC. And I'm like, oh, that's good. I never played the original because, well, I don't play on PC. So I'm definitely going to get down on it. Hopefully it's not terrible. I saw some stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, it's $40. It's not bad. $40 isn't bad.
No, not at all. And for Stalker, you can buy the games individually.
Yeah, $20 a piece. Yeah.
or get all 3 for 40, right? That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it is a good deal. An entire trilogy that is. I'm sure those games are long. They're
Yeah.
probably 20 plus hours easily. So for $40, you're going to get just to run through the story 60 hours. Not a bad deal, to be honest with you. But again, I never played the original. Stalker 2 is going to be out by I think in September, and that's going to be that would be actually really awesome to kind of have some context to go with it. Like I said, some
Yeah.
people have already played it. I personally haven't, so I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to get to that. Um, Look, as we cruise along, obviously we're gonna, we're probably gonna throw an audible in here because obviously we're already through the first topic and we don't have a lot of people on the panel, so we're probably I don't know if it's gonna be a full 2 hour show. It may be end a little bit before, but don't get mad, folks. Folks, we're gonna give you a solid performance here as you would expect. I do want to get into this Final Fantasy stuff because there has been a lot of confusion over the last course of what 6 hours I think it was, Mav, since I was on the show.
Yeah.
6 or 7 hours. So I have everything in front of me, and I want to pull it up because I think it's important to kind of figure out what exactly is happening. Okay, so there was an original article by Gamma Sutra, right? That's how you say it? Gamma. I don't even know
Something like that.
yeah. They had an article, folks, which they ran with thanks to an article that was put up by the Washington Post. That was written by Gene Park. Now, I don't know whether you folks know who Gene Park is. I know who Gene Park is, and he is a lovely man. He is not a console warrior. That guy he's had it tough. Let's just say that. I don't think that there was, because I saw some people running with some stuff about, oh, this was put out there to kind of take the wind out of the sails of Xbox, and this is what they do. I can assure you, Gene Park isn't that dude. Honestly, he had a story. He interviewed the head of PR for Square. Some different words were used, and I think that's what happened with the confusion. Because again, when that story was taken down, VGC ran their own story and it says Sony has reportedly secured the complete Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy as a console exclusive. Now, the same website that originally followed what Gene Park put out there, they came out and said, hey, listen, folks, just want to give you an update. We removed the Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy equals PlayStation console exclusive article as the Washington Post has issued a correction. SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, has never actually said the trilogy was console exclusives. Apologies. Okay, so that's great. They took the article down. They put it out on Front Street that they got it wrong. Great. Well, Gene Park, of course, clarified everything for everyone. And he goes on to say this: I am clarifying the second point, which of course was that the trilogy was exclusive to PlayStation. This is what he says, folks. It was a mistake on my part to write the sentence like that. The entire Final Fantasy VII trilogy is not yet confirmed to be an exclusive. The article has been amended to mention that only currently Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are console exclusives, though there is no more context as to how long that exclusivity is going to be. Is it going to be 6 months, another year? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Is it after the trilogy is released and PlayStation had its way with it? I honestly don't know. This was originally supposed to be a 1 year exclusive to PlayStation. They money handed it to keep it away from Xbox. It's what they do. It's the tactics that they use. A lot of people don't like it, but it's business. I understand it. And he followed that with a couple of, again, because Gene is folks, again, if you don't know who he is, he's a good dude. Gene is a really, really good dude. Honestly, I would stand up for that man in a second, and he don't even know who the hell I am, but that's fine. He responded to someone that says, was it an oops on your part or is it actually true? Want to get some clarification from both sides if possible. Been holding out on Final Fantasy Rebirth. I guess he was waiting for it to come to Xbox. So Gene clarified it, and he goes on to say, I would not hold out on Final Fantasy Rebirth coming to Xbox anytime soon. So obviously he has inside information. And like I said, I trust Gene. If this is what Gene is saying, folks, that's what it is. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, guess what? Not coming to Xbox anytime soon, even though there's a new Square president. I think the way we can look at this is the new Square president was maybe not privy or a part of the original signed contract with the president before him that he has superseded. And there is obvious reasons as to why the other president is, well, no longer in charge and there's a new president. If they signed the contract with Sony to keep these things exclusive and they money hatted them, the deal is done. I think that ultimately that is what probably cost the Square Enix president his job. I don't know what beef he had with Xbox, but signing with, again, they're two Japanese companies. They're going to work together. They have worked together for years. But Mav, I want to go to you. I want to go to you because this is one of the. Kay Asante is here. Hey, Kay, welcome back, brother.
Good evening. Good evening. I've been listening all the way driving home. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm late.
Let's clarify. No more rock incidents, correct?
Oh yeah. No more rock incidents. Yes, indeed.
Christmas.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be here. I've been listening to the conversation. It's great. Good evening, Mav and Web Dave and all the great people in the chat. What's going on?
Well, listen, we're happy to have you here. You know what? Let me just pause, and not because everyone said anything nasty. Let me just pause the Final Fantasy talk for a second because Kay Asante is here. I was on another screen reading verbatim, so I don't know how long he's been sitting here. So apologies if you jumped in for 5 minutes. You've been sitting in idle. Let's get your hot take on the Xbox partner preview.
Okay, so I was listening to you guys talk about what your favorites are. For me, I really like this show. I thought that if I have any criticism of the show, I feel like if there are more shows like this throughout the year, then we'll cut it a bit more slack. You know what I mean? I feel like being that it is part of the old model where every once in a while you get a great new show, you expect to see like quote unquote bangers, like, oh my God, this is amazing, like almost E3 level stuff. And in that regard, maybe we didn't get that much stuff. So people kind of go, it was all right. I'm hoping we see more of this kind of stuff because how many times do we get Game Pass announcements? It happens so frequently. Right. I'm hoping that this becomes more of a way that they just tend to show stuff. And without the backdrop of having it be bombastic every single announcement, I thought it was a pretty good showing what we saw here today. Me personally, I thought the Unknown 9 was really cool. It looked really interesting to me. It's stealth, which doesn't necessarily like doesn't usually connect with me, but it's stealth with capabilities, right? It's stealth, but when stealth goes awry, then you still have abilities to get things done, which I always like. If it's solely stealth, I might not be so into it, but from what I saw, it looked pretty cool, right? Mav was talking about the Gambit game, that sleight of hand, right? That looked interesting. I always thought, hey, that's an interesting idea, but like Mav was saying, it's hard to really get excited about something you haven't really seen gameplay details from. So it just looks like an interesting idea at this point, and that was that. I will say Alters looked super interesting to me. You know, this is and as you know, Mr. Boomstick, whenever I watch these shows, I write copious notes. and this show was like from the creators of This War Is Mine yes, which I really appreciated, right? When you look at what they had on display, and this is like 11-bit studios, which I always appreciated. I always loved their stuff.
Yes,
and it looks like the story and the world building is super interesting at a macro level. Oh, he's stuck on a planet. It kind of gave me Returnal kind of vibes from Jump, but they're too focused. They're very focused on the human element, you know, the different avenues of your personality and the decisions you made that are different. No, that stuff really spoke to me. I thought that was really cool. I hope it's as cool as it appeared to be, because that really spoke to me. So for me personally, I would say the Unknown 9, I would say Alters, and for good measure, throw in, everybody knows me, Zao, because
Yes,
I'm super excited about Zao. You know, so those three were the things that really, really spoke to me. I thought there was a little bit of oddities here and there with Griefville, you know, with the Chucky game. You know?
Weird, man.
not only that it's weird, but like from a quality perspective, it spoke very. It harkened to very like early days first project indie vibes.
Yes,
and it kind of felt out of place in the middle of all of that show. I was just like, I don't know, but no. Generally, I think this was a great show. If you keep it to one a year or two a year, that's unfortunate, right? But if you do it every few months, we get another one of these, and some of them have great announcements, others have a little lower grade announcements. I'm down with it. I think this is the perfect way. This is Microsoft's version of a Nintendo Direct, but like, you know, low key Nintendo Direct, nothing too bombastic that you have talking heads about, right? So all in all, I think it was a pretty decent show. I enjoyed myself. Yeah, I watched it twice.
Nice. Now, what number grade would you give it?
I mean, let's see. That's hard.
Put you on the spot.
Hard.
Sorry about that, sir.
That is difficult. That's difficult because, you know, we live in a world where 7 sucks, right? Hashtag Starfield. I'm sorry. So I would say it's a 7. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I would give it a 7 out of 10, which means there are things in there that I enjoyed. There are things in there that not for me, but I want to see more of this kind of format. So yeah, 7.5. I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, I think so. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Mav, would you say you gave it an 8 out of 10 from Mav?
Yeah, 8.
And Dave, would you say you gave it, brother?
8.
8 out of 10. So I think that's it's
so we're right in the ballpark.
Yeah, I can say 7. I could say 8, 7.5.
Yeah.
Like that ballpark is the right range, I would think.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think so too. No, but I enjoyed it. I just want more of this. I don't want the ex Twitter Melissa McGame Pass announcements. No, every 3-4 months, give me one of these, right? And throw 14 games in the mix. Throw some different things. I would love that. That'd be great.
I really like that idea. I was going to be a bit of a greedy gamer and say once every quarter. But I do like the once every 4 months, because if you were to do one, obviously, you know, it's March. You do another one in, you know, obviously in maybe 3 months or 4 months from now, and I do one in mid-fall. You kind of go with the momentum of their first party releases. Obviously we're gonna know about Game Pass stuff on a regular basis. There's stuff always dropping into Game Pass. Some stuff is shadow.
That's exactly
dropped.
my point. Boom.
Yeah,
that right there. What you just said there. That's exactly my point. Unlike Nintendo and PlayStation, who are very much focused on first party and, you know, some third party deals here and there, Microsoft is selling everyone's wares all the time, constantly. There's so much games coming to that platform, so they can have something like this happen every 3-4 months, and the others don't necessarily have to follow suit because they're on a different model. They're doing something different, right? I would love to see this every couple of months, and you just kind of throw a bunch of new games at us, new trailers, you know, give them the respect they deserve. I've always criticized them dropping stuff in on X.com just like that. You know what I mean? Give the game a bit more pomp and circumstance. I think this was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I see a lot of 9s here, a lot of 8s, a lot of people really enjoyed it. Some people didn't, and if you listen, if don't feel bad if you didn't enjoy the show. Don't be fake about it. If you gave it a 3, we've saw some 3s, we've seen a 4, we've seen the 6. That's okay. Hey, first, real quick, shout out to Hargeet Chani, who is currently on the West Coast, which is not the best coast. But he's on a work trip. Hargeet will be back next week. Hargeet, brother, I see you in the chat, man. Thanks so much for popping in. And we'll obviously get his hot take on some of the ongoings. But Kate, we were talking right after the event, and I don't know whether you got a chance to see. There was a retraction on the Final Fantasy VII news.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I did
So
not hear
okay,
that.
so Gene Park, who obviously we've talked about him before, he's an amazing person. He really is. He's a great journalist, someone I definitely trust. He doesn't do
Mhm.
console wars, folks. And again, he doesn't know me, and it's fine. But I will defend that man, even though he doesn't know me. Not everybody knows everybody. He actually had to do a retraction from the Washington Post Final Fantasy VII story because he said this, and I don't know if you were in the chat. I mean, on the show, whether you heard it. He says, "I'm clarifying the second point. It was a mistake on my part to write the sentence like that. The entire Final Fantasy VII trilogy is not yet confirmed to be Sony exclusive. The article has been amended only to mention that currently Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are console exclusives for PlayStation and PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Now, obviously, PlayStation 4, that was Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Rebirth and the update were PlayStation 5. So it doesn't take away the fact that this is not coming to Xbox. He did clarify, though, when he was speaking to somebody, Kay, where he said, I would not hold out on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to Xbox anytime soon. So,
But that's exactly it, right? Rebirth is the second. Am I wrong in the trilogy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would not hold out hope for it coming anytime soon, but I bet, if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, but I would still say probably when all three are out, you will probably get a complete package or a bundle or something on Xbox, right? Like that's what I can see potentially happening, right? We've already seen Phil and team make those overtures. They're definitely counteracting the way things used to be, where all things were avoided or was avoiding their platform, right? You saw the Final Fantasy 16 open beta and all of this other stuff. You saw the all the handshakes and all of that. So I do think that is the gold, the grail, the holy grail of it. They want Final Fantasy VII, but most likely maybe some deals are still in place because this is 2 of 3, right? I would foresee, like, I would be disappointed after the third one comes out, it's all out, and then you don't see it on Xbox. That would be surprising to me. I think once the third one is out, and they're all available, maybe you get a super ultra mega bundle and that's how you do that, right? I don't know, for some reason, even though of course it's all rumor and speculation on our part and all that, for some reason I just don't think that Final Fantasy VII Remake is console exclusive forever on PlayStation. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We also talked about the money aspect. One of the things I find odd, and I had some people push back on me because I simply put it out on the socials, that as of now, remember, this is an old date. I didn't have anything closer. Final Fantasy VII. Now, you know what? Let me instead of reading off the top of my mind, let me just pull up my own tweet here, and I'll tell you exactly what I said here. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm sorry. I should have had it. I went out of the screen. Okay, yeah. So this is what I wind up saying. Now, the closest date that I could find that was sanctioned by Square Enix themselves is they tweeted on September 14th, 2023, that across both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, they shipped and sold 7 million plus copies digitally worldwide. Okay, so that's 7 million copies across both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Obviously, this has already come to PC. So listen, this is they're saying worldwide. I'm assuming that PC is involved in this, but again, assumptions, right? So I actually had put out a tweet and said, selling more copies on Xbox doesn't make sense. Washington Post actually responding to a tweet that they put out there. And I have it confirmed, 7 million copies sold, shipped worldwide as of 9/14/2023. So I put, when you consider there are over 150 million plus consoles, PlayStation 4 and 5 consoles worldwide, is 7 million copies sold really that good? Now, if you consider PC being a part of that, that actually makes the conversation worse why you would keep this away from Xbox. Mav, I want to go you first on this because I got a lot of pushback on it. And again, I don't shy away from the conversation. I don't fight with anybody. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. If you don't like mine, that's perfectly fine. It's okay not to agree with me. But when you consider, and like I said, I want this to be clear: PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC where it's available, saying that you have shipped and sold digitally worldwide 7 million copies, I don't know if that's such a good number. Some people said, no, that's a great number, Boom. It's an amazing number. I don't know, because the last time, now people are saying, well, how did Rebirth do compared to this? Well, according to a few journalists, it's tracking 30% less than Final Fantasy Remake in the UK specifically. I don't have the numbers because I went looking for it. They're not out and available for the US. So I don't know if they're tracking 30% higher or lower. I know that in the UK, in boxed sales, it's 30% less. Let's get your hot take on whether or not you're disappointed that this is an exclusive still, and that Xbox is still, Xbox gamers who don't have a monster rig to play this game, and potentially a PlayStation 5 or 4. People that were waiting on Xbox, I guess, are just going to have to keep waiting. And more importantly, do you agree with the 7 million sales not being as impressive as some people making it out to be?
Well, I think that Square usually is pretty disappointed in their sales when they have their
Almost every
financial
time.
reports, right?
Yes.
I don't know specifically if they've commented on Remake Part 1. I know that one didn't do as bad as some of the other ones did that they did exclusivity deals on
Right.
for any games, right? But overall, I think there's like to be disappointed. I don't think any of us actually know, and that there's too much room for interpretation. And even coming from
Yes.
Sony and trying to answer questions without clearly confirming timelines or anything like that, there's really nothing. There's really no new information here to me, and that's the main thing I take away from all of this is that that there's exclusivity deals in play, but that's something we already knew, and we don't know anything more than that. And I go back to what we originally knew when they had their announcement trailers, is that they actually had specifically, which is strange for any game, right? To actually say the length of the exclusivity on the trailers, right?
Yeah.
They had exclusive to PlayStation for 6 months or whatever. And that may just mean, okay, it's going to be open to go into PC or whatever. But that tells you the fact that, okay, if these things aren't happening even on those timelines, that these are always moving targets, and that these things are always being negotiated, or maybe PlayStation's still negotiating and all that kind of stuff. I think Square overall is in an interesting place because they keep kind of shooting themselves in the foot for their
Yep.
long-term vision for short-term gains and security, right? They will look at, okay, well, we need to have some insurance on this, right? And obviously it works for PlayStation. And if I'm not mistaken, that Gene Park interview with PlayStation or Square?
It was with Square.
Okay.
Wait, no, hold on a sec. Let me pull it up, because actually it might be PlayStation. Let me
Because
go
I didn't
back
read
into.
the article specifically because you have to pay for it.
You have to pay for
or
it.
like to
Yeah.
be subscribed to their website or whatever.
I
So
actually have the story from VGC. Let me pull that up. Hold on just a second. And I'm almost positive he was talking. I have who he was talking to. Let me just give me okay, here we go. Here, I got it right here. I got the VGC article. Just to give credit where credit is due, obviously, this is videogameschronicles.com. This was written by Tom Ivan. It was posted, obviously, today. And who was he speaking to? Christian Sevenson, who is the vice president of second and third party content ventures and strategic initiatives at Sony Interactive Entertainment. And of course, this is now we're on it, Mav. Let me read you what he had to say. He says this, and I quote: "Back in the same console generation of the original PlayStation, Sony Computer Entertainment had few franchises of its own. And in order to find its place in a very competitive video game industry, we sought to win the hearts and minds of key third-party developers like Square. Final Fantasy has always been one of the primary franchise pillars on PlayStation consoles. Adding that Square Enix is one of the best in the business at pushing beyond their fans' lofty expectations and showing off what can be done with PlayStation hardware. And in closing, had it not been on a single platform, the world map would not have been seamless, and game design may have had to regress significantly. And that comes the way of Final Fantasy franchise producer Yoshinori Katase. So there's basically, and that's been a big talking point. It had to be only on one platform, otherwise the game would have not run as it's running now. That's
because of the magic of
Hogwash,
the SSD. Yeah.
Hogwash.
Okay. Well, when have we heard this
Poppycock.
before? Right? Like, yeah, it's okay. This is basically just a sales piece about like promoting
PR piece,
the PR piece about why it's great that it's exclusive on PlayStation right now. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like this is in regards to a game that just dropped, right? There's a lot of marketing going on behind it, selling the advantages of it being exclusive, why it's important that it's exclusive, and all that kind of stuff. Like overall, there's no good information here that's worthy of anything to any of us, and anything that could be worded in a specific way is going to be done with a microscope to make sure legally it's kind of held up. And there's really no information here whatsoever to react to as far as making news about exclusivity in the future of Final Fantasy VII. And I feel like the situation is the same as it was before. So am I disappointed? No, I think Square Enix is stupid for doing it in the first place. I think that they have long-term vision issues for short-term security, and that's kind of the way I've always felt about them. I'm hoping that changes with them, but I think these deals were already done. I think that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth deal would have had to have been done a while back. So who knows what the future holds with the security or the exclusivity for PlayStation going in the future. And whatever happens then is going to be the decision of the new president, not the past. But what's happening today is because of the people that were in charge before, who really relied on this kind of stuff, right? So who knows, man? Overall, I'm glad that there was a retraction for further clarification, but it still holds no actual meaning or any information to me, even with what you just read, and then also with retraction and clarification, because really there's too many ways of looking about it and picking it apart and saying like, well, what do they really mean by this, or is it, how long is it for? Like there's no clarification on anything, so we just don't know. That sucks, but that's just the nature of it, you know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because the one thing I will say is this messaging is all wrong. Nobody wants to be the bad guy here, even though we know who the bad guy is. Sony does take away or keep away on a regular basis. It is applauded by the community. It is cheered on by the gaming media. When Xbox does it, it is frowned upon. It is shunned. Hell, they can't even keep their own exclusives. If depending on who you talk to, those should be everywhere. Sony is too good to be put,
I-
to put things.
I don't even blame Sony. Like if they're just being competitive and aggressive in this, it's Square Enix's long-term insecurity about the lack of long-term vision about what
Yeah.
the franchises can be and what they mean to people, and and the ability for it to reach as many gamers as they would hope for, and based on having fear that it's not going to do well, so you got to take that bag up front. You know what I mean? And like that's the mistake that they've been making. That's why all those financial reports that came out failed to meet expectations, failed to meet expectations, failed to meet
Yes.
expectations. Oh, we're going to look at this. That's why the guy got fired. He got fired, and immediately after that, you have this new relationship with Square Enix and Xbox, right? And when they said that, they said on the games that it's possible, right? Obviously, these deals that are here have already been done, and we don't know what the length of those are for. So, and that's what Gene Park should have asked, right? Try to get clarification for. If he could have gotten an answer, I don't know, but that's what we, as the gamers, would like to know about that kind of stuff. This is where the transparency and all those kind of things kind of really suck. And overall, if you're an Xbox gamer and you don't have a PlayStation, and you're wanting to know when can you play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Remake part 1 and part 2, whatever, like you just don't have any answers, and no information out there today is helping that situation whatsoever. So it is
No, it's a fair point, Mav. Again, we're gonna go around in circles until something happens. Right now, like I said, folks, if you're an Xbox fan, if you only have an Xbox, if you only support Switch, if you don't have a decent enough PC or a PlayStation 5, you're not going to play Final Fantasy. For me personally, like I said, I there's going to be some people in there. Oh, this is Xbox. I bought the games. I have them. I have Final Fantasy Remake Collector's Edition, and I bought the digital deluxe edition of Rebirth. I bought them. I'm in the bag. But if you're asking me where I would rather play it, I'd rather play it on Xbox. That's my preferred console of choice. I prefer achievements over trophies. I like the Xbox controller. Not that I don't like the DualSense. DualSense is really cool. It dies super quick, which is terrible, but it's fine. I do like it. I just don't like the sticks. I haven't been a fan of their together sticks since the PlayStation 1. They've never changed it. And it's fine. That's on me. Web Dave, let's get your hot take on this, because I'm glad there was some clarification made. What I found to be interesting, and I think he was just answering the question. I don't think he was being facetious. Gene Park answered the person on Twitter's question about if you were waiting on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to Xbox, it's not coming anytime soon. Now, I think he was just answering the question, not actually saying that, oh, well, Rebirth isn't going to come. Final Fantasy VII Remake could be there. That's not what I saw some people running with that. That's getting a little bit too finite for me. That's not what he meant. I think the person was specifically asking him about Rebirth, and he was answering that. There were no hidden messages or secret, handshakes that, oh, it's coming. The first one's going to be launched soon. It's just not. It's disappointing. Like I said, for me, I have it. I'm halfway through it. I have to finish the second half of a remake in order to start Rebirth, because it makes no sense to start it because I'm going to miss out on all the good stuff, and I don't want to do that. Let's get your hot take on some of the information that we went over, and more importantly, are you disappointed that this is not happening? And obviously, Square Enix financial problems. This is a part of it.
Yeah. So let's go back about a year when Final Fantasy 16 was announced and coming out.
Right.
They asked the creator of 16, hey, when's it coming to PC? And he said, well, there's no plans for Final Fantasy 16 to come to PC. We spend all of our time and resources focusing on this, and people need to not worry about that. They need to, to get it on PlayStation. That's what they need to focus on. Why did he say that? Because we all know that 16 is eventually coming to PC. It's a given. We know it's going to happen. But the reason they do that, they quell the other avenues, aspects, and direction is because they want to make their money where it's at now. And with contracts and with stuff, I mean, even if Xbox has a deal that, it's coming up this, at the summer showcase, that there's going to be a big announcement for the first one coming to, to Xbox or whatever. They can't say anything, nothing about it, not even a peep about it until it's the date that they can talk about it.
Right.
So no matter, there's rumors, speculations, all this kind of stuff. And it's we put it this way, we waited this long and because like you said, you have the box from when you bought your PlayStation version on the cellophane wrapper, 1 year exclusive. Yeah, then it's coming. So we were all on that hype train of woohoo, it's coming, and then apparently, Sony went back in and did some more money heading and extended that. Whether they've, completely quashed it, to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. The Casante's point about about maybe they're waiting for it for all three of them to finish and then they'll come out. That would be cool too. But I feel like if they're hurting for money, and we know that they are, and they've made changes because they got rid of their management or their CEO,
right,
and got a new one. Why? Because the money wasn't coming in like they planned, and his deals weren't going the way they wanted. It's obvious that they needed to make some changes, and then now the open arms on 14 to Xbox, which was great seeing Phil come out on the stage for that. And it's the whole thing is that there's an inevitability that it seems like that it's going to happen, that it's going to come to the Xbox for the simple fact that they need the money. It's going to make sense for the money to come from another source. When you take a big step back, that's why Xbox at one point said day and date on PC and Xbox, because there's such a bigger market and more money to be made the more places that you are. Now, we're not talking about this is an exclusive game made by Microsoft Studios like Starfield, so it's not going somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So that needs to stay in house. But an independent company that makes multiple games for multiple systems, and then to be pigeonholed into one, for timed exclusive makes sense, but for an all-time exclusive, especially on one of their pillar franchises, doesn't make any sense. I believe that at some point 16 is going to come to Xbox at some point, and it's just a matter of when. Now, maybe not, maybe it'll be on PC next year or this coming year, and then the next year on Xbox. But I'm sure that Square is looking at the big portfolio of like, what can we do to make the money? And Gene, like you said before, pretty upstanding guy. He's been on the
Yes.
Iron Lords a few times.
Gentleman.
He's a good, knowledgeable guy. He's not a console warrior. He's a gamer, and he's a journalist. So that that's he miswording, misnomer, bad, where he corrected himself, and that's where a lot of places don't, so that's good. And he made a point to call out that he misworded something. So that's good on him, because like I said, a lot of journalists that we know of from different IGN companies that don't necessarily clean up their mess, when they leave off that something's not going to be it's here it's coming to this and this and this. Like, well, it's coming to Game Pass day one. Why didn't you say that in your video? Oh, we just overlooked it. Oh, really? But they don't go back and correct it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I give him the kudos that he's he stepped up and made the correction. But as far as what we know, and to be honest, even some quote unquote diehard insiders, there's a lot of stuff that they're just not going to let you know. They're just not. You're not going to know I mean, Phil knows. Phil knows what the real deal is. Phil knows whether it's coming or not someday. And maybe that's why he was being vague when he made those comments. Where possible, Square Enix games are going to be, coming to like the Secret of Mana. Thank goodness that's heading right in. So that's fantastic. That we're going to be able to play that on the Xbox, where something like that may have skipped us. So I just think that I don't know. Once Microsoft owns Square, would that happen? Well, that'd be nice.
Well, they would still keep, even if they owned them. That Microsoft being the upstanding company, they would probably keep the contracts in place.
No, I'm sure they would, but I'm sure they would make sure they looked at all the loopholes and all the things, and so. But none of us know. None of us can say for sure whether it's going to be coming soon. It just doesn't make sense that they would keep it off there forever. And if the guy did, their former CEO did make an agreement that they would keep 7 Remake off of Xbox forever, then maybe that's one of the reasons why they let him go, because that's stupid, on their part, because there really is a lot of money left on the table. But who knows? There's other great, hopefully Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be, coming to Xbox. If they
3
don't,
was on there, and they did release all of they wound up releasing all of the HD remastered ones as well.
And they've been on Game Pass for a limited time too. Yeah.
Unicorn Overlord comes out tomorrow, and that's a game that would usually be skipping as well.
1,000%. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, and just a side note, because of Game Pass coming in, boom. They announced a whole bunch of Game Pass games coming, and I tell you the one I'm kind of looking forward to was the No More Heroes 3, which is coming to Game Pass on March 14th.
Yes.
And to me that's a win-win. Sorry to throw a wrench in there, but I just
no. This is a conversational podcast, brother.
So many good things coming, man.
Clarification. I forgot Unicorn Overlord Sega, so of course, but that was because Atlas was involved, right? So that's another one.
But you know what, Mav? The truth is that you mentioned the comments you said is 100% true. Unicorn Overlord, again, not for me. It looks fun, but it's not my bag. Pong Soul, through the roof excited. Mav, through the roof. I don't know. Steel Rain is excited for the game or not. It looks like his kind of game, but not so much for me. But those types of experiences usually skip Xbox. The fact that it's not, very excited for that. That anyone that's going to buy that game and enjoy it, that's buy those games, because that's what's getting them to be launched on Xbox.
And that's my point. So boom, to the issue. I personally, exclusivity. I can play it. I have a PS5, right? I can play any of the games that are on PS5, PC, Switch, Xbox, right? I have everything. So for me, it's not like, oh crap, I can't play the game. This sucks, right? For me, when I look at these decisions that these companies were making in the past about skipping Xbox, either by taking a small amount of money right away to do so, or just deciding it's not worth it, my issue has been, you're stupid to these companies.
Yes.
You have no vision about the long-term aspects of what you're doing. And especially as the industry's changing and access is changing and games are becoming more available, easier for people using the different ecosystems and access points and all these things, gatekeeping something to a specific platform can be potentially damaging, especially to your big IPs and also new IPs as well. But if you have Final Fantasy and you want to grow it and have it become even more popular, you think having it just be isolated to one platform and limiting its potential of success is not have long-term effects for a brand? It absolutely can. And we've actually seen sales actually diminish over the Final Fantasy brand over the last decade. It is less important and big than it used to be. And a lot of it, I feel like, is on one is sometimes the quality of the games, even though some of the more recent ones have been better. But it's also in the decisions that they decide, okay, we're going to keep this here, we're going to keep this here, and we're going to take this money, we're going to keep this here, we're going to keep this here. When you could have fans growing and building audiences in so many different places, right? And to say that, well, it's only this audience that matters because they're the ones that play the game. That's the wrong idea that any company should have. You should want your games to be able to be reached by as many people as possible because you never know who the next person is that's going to fall in love with your genre, with your franchise, with what you're creating, and you always have an opportunity for new fans, right? And when you're a third party company, that for me, it should be your ideas. Now, not every situation is the same. Sometimes you're a smaller company, you have a smaller game, and you need that money to be able to make your vision come true. But that's not Square Enix and Final Fantasy. You know what I mean? Like that, these big games, these big brands like that make those decisions. That is a weak, scared, need that bag up front because I have no long-term vision and I'm just relying on insurance right now to get by to my investors and the shareholders to show that I can get that quick bag, right? That is what that is. And over time, that's not really good for anybody, I don't think.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, here's a perfect example of this. Who is as old as I and enjoyed Final Fantasy 1 through 6 on the NES? A lot of people. Well, they have a Pixels collection that is available on everything, including a toaster, but the Xbox. So weird. Like, it's the weirdest thing. How, look, I mean, I'll say this: if MLB shouldn't be the outlier for you, and I know people are tired of hearing about this, but I find it to be hilarious, right? Like I find it funny that MLB 2023 was played 6 times more by Xbox players than PlayStation players, and that's being made by a first-party exclusive studio. And how weird is that? So I mean, listen, I can't say for sure, but I bet you they would have made and sold a heck of a lot more Final Fantasy VII remakes on Xbox than they would have on PlayStation. I really do. I think a lot of people are starving for that particular game. I've played it. It's freaking amazing. I think it would sell like hotcakes. Kay Asante, let's get your hot take on this. But Kay, before I do, please let me catch up on some super chats here. We have quite a few. We have Spartan661. He doesn't drop one, folks. He drops 2 super chats. The first one of $5. He says, I think it's amazing for getting the Stalker games on Xbox. Do you think it's exclusive to Xbox and not PlayStation? I'm excited to play when I have a minute. Actually, I had saw it that it leaked the day before for PlayStation. Someone was tweeting about it, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Why would they skip Xbox? They're working with them right now, so it leaked. It didn't. No one caught it. So no, it's actually on PlayStation as well. I don't know if it's on Switch. I don't think it is. I think I know for a fact it's on PlayStation for sure. His second $2 super chat says Cognito was onto something for the AI announcer. I guess I missed it. What Cognito said because I was actually on Mav's show, so I didn't watch it, but I'll definitely catch that up. Thank you for the additional super chat, brother. We have Big Pile of Puke drops a generous $5 super chat, and he says Final Fantasy 16 has performance issues on PlayStation 5. Do you think it's even possible to run on a Series S, the console that 75% of Xbox owners have, according to Microsoft? Dude, that is a great question, dude. I would like to believe that it could, in fact, be optimized. I mean, all you have to do is look at Baldur's Gate 3, right? Like,
I'll do you one better and say if you're planning on playing this eventually on the ROG Ally or any of those things that eventually will come to PC, that's even lower. That if you can run it on that, there's no reason you can't run it on the Series S.
Okay,
the
excellent.
Series S gets a bad rap.
Yeah, thank you. This is our tech guy. He knows. Yeah, he actually, in fact, he has a tech show on Monday with John Wolf. We'll talk about that. Obviously, it's very PCMR focused, but it's still a lot of fun. You should definitely check it out. Okay, Asante, let's get your hot take on this whole Final Fantasy 7 kerfuffle, if you will.
Yeah. So while you guys were having this great conversation, I was just Googling around to see if I could find like some numbers, right? Because as you guys and I've been watching back and forth in the chat. A lot of people have lots of different opinions on whether PlayStation is technically leaving money on the table by not bringing it to Xbox. So we're just looking at some of the numbers, right? And the one that people wanted, the one that I think people would be surprised about, which is the one that's probably more directly related to what we're talking here, which is Final Fantasy VII, right? Would it be surprising for people to know that since it released in April 10th of 2020, it has sold over 7 million copies, both physical and digital, globally?
Yeah, we actually I actually tweeted that. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And that's why what you were saying there, Boom, as far as your criticism of the numbers not looking so good, you're onto something, sir. Like the amount that this IP has sold is astra freaking nomical. Somewhere upwards of 118 million copies sold throughout the lifetime of its franchise, right?
Can I
On
add some
various
context to
platforms.
what you're saying? Thanks to a
Yeah.
super chat that just came in. Abdi, who drops a $3 super chat. He says Final Fantasy 16 sold 3 million. Only 3 million copies on the PlayStation 5 last reported.
Yep.
That's more context to what you're saying.
Yeah, right. And it's one of those things, right? So it sounds weird. It sounds like what the hell's going on and all of this. Let's be clear. People on platforms aren't uniform. They're not a monolith. Everyone likes different games. So even though there's a huge pool of people that have the potential to play there, not everyone jumps into the waters because some people don't like those games. You would think it's absolutely weird because, oh, you're a PlayStation fan, you must love Final Fantasy. Not everyone does. The numbers speak to that, right? And that's the reason why we say that they're leaving money on the table on Xbox, right? Because just like on PlayStation, there's a lot of people that play on Xbox. Yes, admittedly, less people that play on Xbox than PlayStation because it's a bigger pool on PlayStation. But to Boom's point, to your point expertly, can you imagine having a smaller pool, but when you look at Destiny numbers, there's more people on Xbox playing than PlayStation, right?
Yes.
Similarly with MLB The Show also, where more people are playing on Xbox than PlayStation, and you would be surprised at that because obviously there's a bigger pool, right? This is not really, oh, they should put their games to the other side or whatever. We all see the money men are in the room now across the board. They're all looking at what's going on right now. And I'll even say with the moves that Nintendo are making, their money men are also paying attention. They're like, nope, no more free emulation for you, right? They're all trying to keep their money. That's what they're trying to do. They all see there's money and they're all trying to get it and keep it. In that world, I completely agree with you. Like, if you look at the dollars and cents and the numbers of it, even though the pool is smaller on Xbox, in certain instances, they get more of a player base than PlayStation does. So why not look at them as an actual valid pool with money that could potentially be left on the table? Even if all you get is $1 million there, that's $1 million you're getting there that you would not get on PlayStation because all the PlayStation people who wanted to buy it there have already purchased it, right? We're just saying, and no one will be able to tell you this definitively that 100% it's coming or whatever. But while the adults are in the room, and I call them the adults because at the end of the day, when they start talking about monetary gain and making sure they expand their IPs and all that is completely above all the console back and forth. They are there for the purposes of separating you from your dollars, right? These are the people whose job it is not to make games, but to separate you from your ducats. And when they start having those conversations, you know, when Totoki's in the room saying they need to do better, he's looking at those numbers. And that's the reason why we're saying, hey, they're leaving money on the table. So again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think necessarily that you'll see any of the Final Fantasies, well, any of the mainline remake Final Fantasies on Xbox while there's still an active contract with PlayStation, whereas there's another one coming and they're actively monitoring and they're promoting it. Because, you know, say what you will about leaving money on the table, Sony also markets the heck out of PlayStation game, out of the Final Fantasy Square Enix games, right? So they and if it's to be believed, the marketing budgets for games are usually the same price as the development budget itself, right? So that's a lot of money Sony is putting into marketing their game for them, and also giving them a bag for the purposes of doing so. So it is advantageous for them in one instance to do it, but I think that once that deal and that contract is done, and Mav said this expertly before, and he's absolutely right. You know, right now they're speaking a lot. They're putting a lot of words to, oh, it's perfect, it's expert. Oh, this is why it's needed to be this way. It's because the deals are already made. You can't second guess them now. You can't double speak them now. They're already in ink. They're already dry, right? It may have been the old CEO's job, CEO's part to play, and now he's no longer there. But that ink is still dry, so you can't now be bad talking it, you know, while the ink is dry. So you have to continue down that path, right? But it would be surprising if we see a new franchise or another Square Enix thing, and then Sony does that the same thing. I doubt you see this situation again, because the money men are now part of the equation. So
to your point, Kesante, like people say, like, oh, are they leaving money on the table? Or Square told us that they have been leaving money on the table. Like Square has been the one saying that they're disappointed with their sales, and also have mentioned specifically some of these exclusives that have been on PlayStation when they're doing their financial reports. And you best believe they're probably not going to be too happy about Foam Stars as well whenever they start talking about that.
Absolutely.
These deals have been done, but that does not mean that they see them as the best way going forward, right? So we don't know what's going on right now with what the future of that franchise and those games are going to be.
I mean, man,
we don't know exactly what the deals are currently, you know. But
I'll actually do you one better, sir. I'll do you one better. You said we don't know. We do know, because after they made those deals, what happened? Phil Spencer started shaking hands left and right, and their CEO got let go.
Yeah, the CEO got let go. They got a new president. Then all of a sudden, hey, here's Xbox showing up here at the Tokyo Game Show.
We do know that they see a problem here, because they've already made corrections, right? So it seems.
Since then, Final Fantasy 14 is where?
That's right.
Now it's on Xbox, right?
Yeah.
They have made strides. There's things that are changing within this, and like to the point too about that I've been trying to make, and I see people in the chat talking, and I see a lot of this stuff about, you know, the money left on the table thing. You cannot quantify the long-term aspects of this, right? And that was been my point all along, and going back to originally on the Xbox One generation and all this kind of stuff, when a lot of these companies were doing these kind of things, right? Long term, you are doing potential damage to your business for the short term rewards and aspects of it. And you can't quantify that easily with numbers and market. Like when they're talking about these financials, they're only got return return on investment, right? And that's basically all they're doing is like, how much did we make? What was our, you know, how much did we spend? You know what? But you can't quantify how much we would have made if we wouldn't have made these decisions like 7 years ago, right? 10 years ago,
Mav,
right?
Mav, if you think about that though, there is a way kind of quantifying it a little bit. Like go here with me for a second, okay? You know how right now people keep complaining that Xbox barely gets any JRPG or Asian games, right? They don't get games from Japan. They barely get games from China, right? And all of that has been ground that has been seeded because Sony used to be basically in the market to money had as much as possible to make sure those games don't end up on that platform, right? It has happened so many times that now it's basically a foregone conclusion. They don't even have the money hat anymore. These developers, by and large, just don't put them there unless Microsoft like literally fights the case and really tries to change their minds, right? It kind of works the same way, right? That's how you quantify that. The decisions that Sony kind of saw in the early aughts, right, and in the late 90s, seeding the ground, has now paid dividends in that they are the only name in JRPGs now, right? You can't literally, most folks can't put a through line and say, see, this is the decision that caused that, right? But if you look in the history of PlayStation, there's a lot of history of them going, nah, this is not for you. Nah, you're not getting this. Nah, and it's not even money hatting like it's ours. It's everywhere but on Xbox.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
They've done that so many times that now even consumers don't expect to see those games on that platform.
Right. And then the
Right?
long-term effects for us is like, oh,
Exactly.
Xbox gamers don't care about those games.
There you go.
Right?
You see what
Because
I'm talking about. There you go.
obviously they bought the other system for the games that they cared about. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like all of it has an impact. And
Absolutely.
like the long-term thing is if you want for these companies, for these brands like that to stay strong and be strong, put it in people's hands.
Yes,
Yep.
give people an opportunity to not buy it if that in fact is the case. Because if it's not there, we can buy it, and you won't know if people want to buy it unless you put it there. Pretty
That's
simple
right.
financing 101, if you will.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, look, it's so I want to do a little bit of a thought experiment here, folks. So I did the check because listen, some people, they say things we don't know. I as a host, it's my responsibility to confirm a number. So I went
Mhm.
looking, and currently, folks, there are over 50 million PlayStation 5s out there. Now, I think the number's closer to 56, but I'm going to go with just 50 because I'm going to try and look that up as I do this
Mhm.
thought experiment. Um, Final Fantasy 16. I have it. I bought it. I got it for $31 brand new. Couldn't pass it up. I haven't played it. My backlog is as tall as I am, and I'm 6 feet, folks. It's ridiculous. And the truth of the matter is real quick, has anyone played the new Halo content, Halo Infinite content? My God, there is there's a new map. I forgot the name of it. Is it Elevation?
Mhm.
You are fighting in zero G. Like you're running around, and once you'll see these force fields, and the minute you go outside, it's where the pelican is landed. You can jump, and you're like freaking floating, and you're fighting. It's phenomenal. And the battle pass is I think goes up to level 20. I'm already level 14. It's only been out 2 days. That's how much I'm playing this game. Okay, so I'm sorry, I mean, to go on a tangent. Halo, I love it. You should play it. It's amazing.
Mhm.
So there are let's just say for shits and giggles, folks, there are over 50 million PlayStation 5s. Sony tells us this every chance they get, right? And that's good. They're selling consoles. They're not going anywhere. Even if they fell to third place, it wouldn't matter. I don't think they're going to third place for many years, to be quite honest with you. Their backs are against the wall for first party, but they're still selling like hotcakes when it comes to consoles. So if I were to ask you, Mav, from just business 101, we don't have to have a degree, we don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. Is it okay for a company? Now I'm gonna go looking to see how much it cost Square Enix to make Final Fantasy 16 because they spent a lot of money in development. They've
Yeah, they
only
had
sold
big aspirations.
it was yeah, they did 3 million copies for over 50 million consoles available. Now, I get it, folks. It's niche. I saw people in the chat talking about, oh, boom, you got to understand it's niche. It is. But here's the thing.
Did Final Fantasy used to be thought of as niche?
I don't think so.
I mean, back in the day,
Yeah, I don't think so.
like Final Fantasy was like that was one of the biggest franchises in
Mhm.
existence. After
I
7 came out, every single Final Fantasy like, oh my god, when is the next Final Fantasy? I couldn't wait for years. It was never. Now it's like, oh, because it's a JRPG, it's thought of as niche. But you know what? It's only on one platform a lot, right? So just
Mhm.
saying.
what are your
Mhm.
thoughts on this? It is 3 million sold acceptable?
Not for Final Fantasy 16. No. Not for the Final Fantasy franchise, not for Final Fantasy 16. A mainline Final Fantasy game. The next in line for the mainline Final Fantasy game should have extreme expectations, right? That is Square Enix's premier franchise, premier game. That is like what Assassin's Creed is to Ubisoft. Like Final Fantasy should be that to Square Enix, right? And your big mainline game that you're putting out in your biggest franchise in the history of your company comes out and only does a few million.
So
That is a disappointment. That is a big disappointment.
Okay, so I have some numbers here because, folks, I love having evidence-based conversation because, well, you can't argue the numbers. You can say that I'm a bot, and that's fine. I'm not going to fight you on it. Okay, you think I'm a bot? Okay, fine, whatever. I'll sleep fine tonight.
Mhm.
So 3 million times $70 is $210 million, right? That's a lot of money. Do you want to know what the development cost on Final Fantasy 16 was, gentlemen? 'Cause I have the numbers in front of me.
Yeah.
$711 million.
Wow.
First off, if that's accurate, that's way too much for that game.
Now this is
Like-
this is June 28th, 2023. I got the article according to GameFAQs. No, this is actually GameSpot. And it says here, Square went very big, and it is not the outcome they wanted. How in the world could they have it even be possible? Final Fantasy 16 cost $711 million to develop. That's coming from GameSpot.com, folks. I'm not making it
Hey.
up.
I don't know. Like that seems crazy to me, but like
That
I
makes
don't
the
know.
Halo numbers, makes Halo Infinite seem like it's not that much now, does it? Yeah.
like Final Fantasy,
Chump change, baby.
that like I don't know that's that number. I think I think GameSpot made a mistake. Like that's a waste of money. Like like it's a
I mean,
it's a good game. I like it. Like I bought it. I like it, but like that's just like we might as well just like put a bunch of money in a dumpster and set it on fire. Like it's just stupid. Like why would they?
I mean, listen, like I said, I'm reading it verbatim. It's literally from GameFAQs.gamespot.com.
Right.
And that's listen, if that's what it costs.
Is it
That's
yen?
crazy.
Yeah.
No,
the
that
saying yen?
it says $711 million.
If it was yen, that would be too low. Like so, I don't know. I would have expected maybe like around what you said it sold. 200 million roughly. Like I could see that. Like $700 million for a game, but like they had crazy aspirations for this game too. Like when they talked about this game, they were they were talking crazy stuff about how this game was going to do. I mean, they're talking like GTA type stuff, right? And it's just crazy to see what the game is like. And I think it's a good game, but their expectations and potentially what that cost is versus the reality. And yeah, there's no doubt then why the president's gone. What I mean? Like that's
well,
just
I mean,
horrible
here's
business.
again, this is just more context to the conversation. The development of this game started sometime in 2016. It was released last year. I mean, damn, that's a long development cycle.
And that's for Rebirth, right?
No, that Final Fantasy 16.
16, bro.
Oh, that's for 16. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
yeah.
That's
Wow.
nuts.
That is crazy. It's so stupid. Oh my god! And then they only put it on one platform.
Yes, it wasn't even on PC.
They even delayed it like almost a year or so because they wanted to, make it even better or improve it to where where they thought it needed to be.
God, I want to know how much they got from Sony so bad.
Yeah,
I want to know how much they got. Like, what kind of bag did Sony give them? Because we've seen some of those other marketing deals, and it's not that crazy amount of money. I mean, it's like you talk about millions, but not like
Wow.
not like hundreds of millions. Like.
So boom, just because we need more data points. We need more data points. So I was like, you know what? maybe Boom is mistaken. Maybe there's not enough. Maybe he didn't get the numbers right. So I started looking as well. They were like, you think, and this is the article I'm reading here. You think GTA 5 is expensive? It cost $265 million to make. Nothing compared to the $700 million
There you
it
go.
cost to make Final Fantasy 16.
That is
Holy crap! That's insane.
Why
So-
was this?
So here again,
Wow.
I don't want to seem like we're piling on, folks, but there's going to be
Uh-huh.
people that are going to be pointing at me and saying you're just doing this for shock and awe. We're not. We're reading you numbers. So Yahoo Finance, this is pretty crazy. Okay, so for Mitsu, which is, if you don't know, one of the longest running Japanese magazines in Japan. They were around when I was a kid.
Yeah.
In the 80s. I'm
Mhm.
old. I get it. Okay. Check this out. A report from Famitsu also stated that the Japanese sales of Final Fantasy 16 dropped 90% in its second week, coming in second behind, folks. Listen to this. This is what it came in second place to. Behind the Nintendo Switch title Master Detective Archives Rain Code. Does anyone even know what that game is? Because I don't. But apparently, it outdid Final Fantasy 16 in Japan. I'm just
Wow.
saying, Square Enix, this is why they made big changes. This is just business dummy 101. This is like business for dummies. Like
You want to
that's
talk
what this
about
is.
unsustainable?
Yes.
I mean, that's just so stupid, man.
Now
Like
now
that.
you wonder why Crystal D and all these others had to go because the money
'cause
was,
it
just
was-
not there.
It was their fault, though. it was Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal fault. Like, oh my gosh, I wonder what the budget was for Guardians of the Galaxy and how many it sold.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I got to know that because they consider that like the way they talk about it is like, oh, it's so horrible. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. I would guarantee you didn't have a $710 million budget. And I probably sold at least 3 million copies, or maybe at least, around there. Yeah, maybe the Western Division wasn't quite the issue there, Square.
The first
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy boasted a net budget of $170 million.
Wow.
Okay. Do we have a sales?
I can get
That's
it.
the budget. Let's see. Hold on. Let me keep looking. Yeah. I'm digging. As you're
Remember-
saying this, I'm digging through it.
Remember, this game also went on multiple platforms, right? Guardians
That's
is
true.
everywhere,
True. Yeah.
right? Man, crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
We're like learning as we do this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely awesome.
It's just nuts. It's when you start
Crazy.
digging through the numbers, you just like are just flabbergasted at how
I
crazy.
said that. I just got to be honest with you. When you said $710 million, I'm like, it's not true. You know,
Listen,
like,
I even question myself because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm kind of reading this from GameSpot. I don't know so much about them. Listen, we're closing in on the 2-hour mark. I wanted to get everyone out of here on time. Let's get to Web Dave. Web Dave, look, thanks to Asante, thanks to Mav, and of course, I did some research live on the air for you folks, so you know that we're not BSing you here. This is just why it really makes it a bit of a head scratcher when you consider Final Fantasy VII, either of them coming to Xbox, and more importantly, Final Fantasy 16, which only sold 3 million, is not coming to Xbox. There are players that are going to buy this game. I would not be surprised that if they don't at least match it, they might beat it. There are plenty of Xbox fans who only support the Xbox brand. Maybe they have a Switch, right? And and do they have a PC? I don't know, right? But they would probably buy the game, and it's a shame that they're not going to be able to because of these Sony locked up deals. Well, let's get your closing thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I mean, we all talked about the numbers, and then, then I'm just sitting there kind of stunned. So it's like, wow, but they have to put it other places. They have to, and obviously there's they're making course corrections and stuff like that. But a company that's not only, I mean, love them or hate them, or whether you like some of their franchises or not, they've been around a long time. They have some iconic franchises. that are just, some even, especially the original Final Fantasy VII pretty much defined the genre and
Mhm.
opened up gaming to a lot of people that just didn't, realize it could be like that. So it really opened up the RPG um to more people than ever before. So it's like you want them to succeed, and I just hope that they can really get it together. That they can, it's I don't know. Obviously, Microsoft is they're making trips. They're talking. Sarah's been over there. Phil's been over there. That they. I guarantee you, they're doing everything that they can within the contracts or whatever that's available. And maybe they even looked at contracts that are like, well, you know, you don't want to honor this or whatever. Maybe they can buy themselves out of certain contracts if Microsoft can help them financially, get through it.
Yeah,
And if any
I mean, it's
company
certainly
can,
possible. Yeah.
Microsoft can. So yeah, it's you know that's one of the reasons why people are like, oh, what about these game layoffs and the industry's this and dude, the industry's stronger than ever, and
Mhm.
it's the biggest entertainment in the world, surpassing movies and
Yeah.
music. So you just oh man, it's a great industry, but things like this are a big head scratcher as to why they were trying to do it. And I get it. Sony trying to make the deals, it makes sense. But I think Square was probably pressured a lot, you know, whether it be due to the being a Japanese company and another Japanese company, their type thing where they were, trying to be honorable to them, or if it's, or whatever. But I think Sony probably put a lot of pressure on 'em. Being the quote unquote market leader. They have that power, and you can see, what power can what
Yeah.
power can
Good
do
points, dude. Great
to
points.
to corrupt and to really damage the other company. I think Square. I don't think Square's down and out. I just think that they could have been in a lot better place if they had marketed it all over. If it had gone everywhere, then it would have been more beneficial for them. And obviously they see that now, and they're making the corrections to get that fixed. And so we can only hope and pray that someday Final Fantasy makes it to the Xbox, and Final Fantasy 16 needs to be everywhere. And hopefully that was just a 1 year exclusive, but we'll find out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, folks, that's gonna do it for us here on Primetime Gaming. Let me catch up on the last couple super chats, and we'll do outros. Get everyone out of here. J Mac, good friend, great friend of this program, has been a channel member for folks for 28 months, and he says the PlayStation fan base unconsciously trained themselves to play Twitter more than video games, and it has affected their game sales. Xbox World Order, indeed. Yeah, play games, folks. Don't play Twitter. It's boring. Crippling Debt drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, as an Xbox user, even if I liked Final Fantasy style games, I wouldn't even play them on Game Pass until I know for a fact that all future Final Fantasy games would come to my platform. I mean, that's fair. That makes sense. Spartan661 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. And he says the announcer after each game sounded like an AI voice after each game announcement. And I'm
Sounded like
thinking,
he was gonna go to sleep. He sounded like
yeah,
it made me want to go to sleep. I was like, "Who is this dude?"
yeah,
Anyway,
I'm thinking Microsoft is about to release the hounds on Sony. I mean, you never know. AI is in their bag, that's for sure. The underscore legend 350. Welcome to the program, and thank you for the very generous $2 super chat. And he says Raincode is a Raincode popular due to Danganronpa anime series. Okay, I didn't even know that, dude. So thank you for the clarification. Alden drops a very generous $500. I was reading his thing.
hey now.
$5 super chat. Hello. He says the 700 million was total dev spending by Square on all games the last fiscal year, not the budget. I don't
Ah.
I don't think so. He read it and I read it two different places, brother. It
Yeah.
was $700 million to make that game. Remember, they started development in 2016. It released in 2023. That's a
Al-
7-year dev cycle.
Also, regardless, even if it was only a $200 million budget, like that's still a big disappointment.
Yeah,
For 3 million.
it is.
Like you need to make way more than what you spent. Like on the
And
game.
he said that game the came from a GameSpot forum. It's not real, but Kei Asante confirmed it.
Yeah. I read it in a different location. Which, hey, let's be clear. Let's be clear. It could have been the same bad information regurgitated.
Yeah.
Let's
could
be clear on that. But still, look at what we're looking at here. Whether it be 700, whether it be 200, look at how like our point still stands. They are clearly losing more money than they're making, and they should be
Yes.
putting it more places. It's just that simple.
Fair point. Let's see. BT Maverick 707 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "In Avengers Infinity War, 316 million, and Endgame 356 million budget for perspective. Those are two films that made $1 billion each, and I think one of them might have made 2 billion. So." Yeah, Square Enix leaving money on the table. Lastly, God Emperor Sofa King drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Bruh, 700 million is insane. Square got played." Indeed, if it's true, they did. And again,
Yeah.
you know the numbers, folks. They are what they are. Let's get to the outros, and we'll start first with our very special guest, Web Dave. Brother, sell the brand of the Gaming Council podcast that you do each and every Sunday with Retri. Talk about it. Where can people subscribe to your amazing YouTube channel, and more importantly, follow you on social media?
Oh, thanks, Boom. I didn't even realize I had my camera turned off. That's how awake I am. Wee.
That's okay, brother. We're happy to have you here. Thank you.
No, dude. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Boom. I appreciate it. Wow. It was great. Great being on. And of course, Mav and Kei Asante are two of the pillars in this gaming community that I absolutely love. Both of them. They're amazing. And it was great being on a show with them. So always a blessing to be on a show with you, Boom. And man, thanks everybody for watching today's show with Boom. And please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. This man is a tireless warrior for gaming news and information. And it is true, man. I love, even though I'm not on all your shows anymore, I love being able to watch and listen because fan first, and that is for sure. So anyway, thanks guys. In the description in the chat, I dropped the link if you want to join us on Sundays show. We're going to have Doom Cutie on as a guest, and hopefully one more. We'll figure it out, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, Doom Cutie is awesome. Love her work and the community, and that's a big get. I like her a lot. But Dave, great to have you back here, brother. And obviously, you have a key to the front door, so whenever you're free, you just pop in. There's no invitation needed. Mav, first of all, brother, thank you so much for having me on your show today. That was fun. I got to hang out with I Steel Rain, which I do on Tuesdays, and I got a chance to hang out with Psychonauts, which I don't often do, but that dude is awesome. And let's sell your brand, because you, my friend, folks, if you don't know, Mav streams 3, 4, 5 days a week, and he is so close to 5,000 subscribers. If you're not already subscribed, please, for the love of Joe, sub this man. Sell your brand, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Boom. It was awesome to kind of spend the day with you talking games, man. And we got a great show earlier. We got a great show tonight. Like, still don't know what's going on with the budget for Final Fantasy 16. I guess eventually we'll find out. But regardless, man, it was a blast. And Kei Asante, is great having you hop on the little show. Dave, it's always awesome chatting it up with you guys. But if y'all want to find me, just check out on Twitter, Fun Speculation. YouTube, Fun Speculation. Got multiple shows on there. Mondays, Fun Speculation podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We got PM in the PM with Pong Soul and I. So we'll be having that show tomorrow. And then Fridays, Xbox Ultimate podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the occasional game stream or random rant or shenanigans can go on from time to time. So come hang out and chill over on Fun Speculation.
Well, thank you so much for being here, brother. And last and no way least, Kei Asante, brother, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can tune in Saturday morning, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the newest episode of the oh my god, why am I having a brain fart?
GCP.
Yes, GCP. Jesus, I was watching my own gameplay and I screwed up. Sorry about that. Obviously, you do that each and every Saturday. You work with Everborn, the kneeless one, still kneeless as far as we know. And obviously, you had a great show this past Saturday. You're going to have another show this upcoming Saturday. Please, by all, tell everyone where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you. Again, I apologize. I was a little late. Had to bring the car into the shop. Had to do a whole bunch of adulting things, but I was able to jump on here and catch the great show with the great Mav and the great Web Dave. We appreciate you guys always being here and being able to join us when you can. It's always awesome to be able to communicate with you guys. Myself, you can find me as Boom was mentioning on GCP this Saturday. We'll be having a show. Myself and Everborn we'll be putting that together. These days we end up talking like about the business of gaming and things like that, as well as trying to talk about some really weird games that we're playing that most people aren't playing. That would be apt, but I'll bury the lead and say this week probably not apt, because I'm playing a game that everybody else is playing as well, and I'm not talking about Final Fantasy. I'm talking about Balatro. Yes, we will talk about Balatro later.
That like
game
it.
Is game of the year.
I returned
that game. Did you?
Did.
I hate, with a capital H, card games. Never been into them. Can't stop playing this.
I know. I've heard it. Jeff Grubb's talking about it. You're talking about it.
I do not play card games. I played this. I'm like, okay. 3, 5, 10 hours later, I'm still playing. So we'll talk more about that this weekend. But anyway, catch us, myself, and the aforementioned kneeless one, Mr. Everborn Saga, this Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gaming Circle Podcast. Best way to catch it is to follow me on Twitter, x.com. Follow me, TKO Asante. You follow me, I follow you back. When the show goes live, you know it's live because we will announce it there. But thank you guys so much for checking us out. Monday nights as well. You can come check me out on my channel. We talk
Gamers
a bit more CMR stuff, the Gamers Playground. That you'll get to know what device am I holding right now? What does it do? These are the things we talk about. So come check us out Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Always great to be on the show.
If you are a nerd and you like tech, you must tune in Mondays. Him and John Wolf, we
geek out.
They do. They do. If you like that kind of talk, and I do, I tune in. You should tune in as well. But ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you we had almost 700 people here today. Holy moly. Thank you so much for tuning in. A big thank you to all of the super chats and the channel memberships that continue to come in. Mrs. Boo and I are incredibly humbled by the generosity, and that is why we're going to give back as much as we did last year, and then 500 on top of that. We're going to exceed $3,500 worth of giveaways in 4 shows, folks. 4 shows. We're giving away that much money, and we can't do any of that without the help of this amazing community. And that's why we put so much work into not only collecting and putting away these super chats and these channel memberships until the rainy days. Of course, will be the holidays. But again, thank you so much for the consistent support. We are very grateful for that. And of course, folks, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.